We're going to talk about earthquakes? No. Yeah, I thought you want to talk about baseball.
Yeah, where are you on the Astros sign stealing scandal and the resulting punishment?
I wasn't going to be answering no Astros questions today.
That's right, Rook. That's right, Rook.
Baseball's where I belong. I don't care what field. I love this team. I want to be here forever. I want to be the Padres forever. But baseball is what I always love.
Since we're in the moment, is there a more annoying sports phrase than get in the hole?
Oh, you're saying for this?
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, what are you talking about?
Some great moments there, Marty. Well done.
Thank you. It's been a long season. That's some of my favorite clips. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you guys are all watching. Welcome to Marty Time TV. I am Marty Caswell. That is John Morosi of MLB Network. We are brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. John, it is so good to see you. I see you on TV. I see you on Twitter, but I'm really bummed that I missed seeing you at Petco Park with 45,000 of your closest friends when you were here for Padres and Giants a couple weeks ago. How are you? How are things going in your world?
Marty, I'm great. Thank you so much for the invitation to be on the show. You do such great work, and Padre fans are very fortunate to have all the amazing content that you've delivered over the years and the creativity of your storytelling. So they're fortunate to have you, and I'm lucky to be able to have this conversation with you as a friend. And yeah, that was a great night at Petco for me to be reminded of just what this ballpark feels like. And I believe right now there is no more electrifying atmosphere for any game in Major League Baseball right now than Petco Park. The way that the fans have responded, the city, I still love looking out, and I mentioned this during the game at the Metal Supply Company building that you see from our broadcast location. You realize that baseball was meant to be played there. And what an amazing atmosphere that the Padres as an organization and their fans and the players have cultivated. And of course, in the first inning of that game, Tatis robs the home run of Devers, and it just the evening progressed from there. It's a fun place to see a game. I'm lucky, Marty, in my job that I get to visit all these ballparks, and I still can't believe that it's what I get to do for a living. And honestly, when I see San Diego on my schedule, I get excited because of the players and the atmosphere and the way the fans have responded this year.
I love it. I love it. That's a great train of thought right there. And there's not a visiting team or manager that comes into San Diego and doesn't say the same thing about what an incredible atmosphere it is. I know when AJ Preller, the huge trade deadline, right? When you get Mason Miller, when you get Ramon Laureano, all the players talking about, wow, we've seen it from afar. But until you experience firsthand, 45,000 people on a Tuesday night for whatever reason, man, it's an incredible atmosphere. And that kind of leads me to my next question, because right now, 2 games behind the Dodgers in the NL West, right? They are 21 games over 500 at Petco Park. And this is what stunned me. The Dodgers are only 500 at home. Padres are below 500. I'm sorry, on the road. How much do the Padres need that home field advantage for a deep postseason run?
Well, Marty, it's a great question, and it's a really important thing the Padres are competing for right now. And not only because of the first round, of course, the bye is a very significant element in your plans, but then also what that means for your ability to have home field in all the subsequent rounds as well. And I certainly think every win right now is precious when you think about it, Marty, because if the Padres go where they hope to go, which is the World Series, then that home field advantage is determined by record in relation to the team they're playing from the American League. And when you consider how wide open the American League is right now, that every win, even if you hope to have home field advantage in every round, but every win matters because you're wondering, you have one half of maybe one eye on how are the Blue Jays doing? How are the Tigers doing? How are the Mariners doing? How are the Astros doing? We have no idea who's going to win the American League. It could be the Yankees again, but right? And so when you consider how that's playing out, every game is incredibly valuable for the Padres in terms of getting to where they ultimately want to go. And there's a lot of teams that want to win the World Series. There are very few that behave that way on and off the field every single day. The Padres are one of them. And it's because of AJ Preller. It's because of Mike Shildt. It's because you've got a superstar player, Manny Machado, who's in the lineup every single day. And there's a look at AJ with what he's been able to do and achieve. I mean, he is as creative of an executive as there is in Major League Baseball. And Mike Shildt, as you see there too, is someone that I think looks for every advantage he can find and really enjoys these players. I think that, I had a chance to cover in Detroit a Hall of Fame manager in Jim Leland. And I think Mike Shildt, Jim would always talk about how he'd never played above Double-A. And I think Jim always had about him two things: a reverence for the great players, because by his own admission, he was not one at the major league level. And then also that chip on his shoulder of always having to prove himself. And Jim loved a player like a Manny Machado, who is in the lineup every single day and comes to play, comes to win, comes to beat the other team, and is just an elite competitor in addition to being an elite baseball player. And I think Mike Shildt in a lot of ways is from that Jim Leland school of looking for an advantage, always trying to prove himself, trying to outwork everybody, make sure his bullpen's lined up. Jim was always great at those things. And I think Mike Shildt is great in a lot of those same ways, to where Mike's respect for the players, his love for the game, his intense competitiveness, those are the things that override, I think, any lack of a major league playing career on the part of Mike Shildt. I think that it's amazing to see how that staff comes together. I think he's got one of the best pitching coaches in the game, and
Yes.
Ruben Nicola, which I think helps him in a big way. But I look at a lot of similarities to where when you've got a feel to how to run a bullpen, along with this level of excellent personnel, which is what the Padres have now in their bullpen because of the moves that AJ Preller made, it's a really great formula and a great collaboration. And so I think this team is going to be in it till the end. And if you say the Padres are going to win the National League, I would not argue with that because of how deep the lineup is. Now, it's not a perfect lineup. There is no such thing as a perfect lineup. And whatever Padre fans are experiencing now, trust me, the blessing of the job that I have is I get to experience all these different teams and also hear the concerns of fans all around Major League Baseball, because all fans everywhere want to bench half the team half the time. Mathematically, you can't do that. But I'm just letting you know that is a normal emotion, everybody. It is a normal emotion. Make your peace with this emotion, because everyone feels this way about their own team. And the Padres, I will say, Marty, they are less flawed than a lot of other teams. And so take heart in that smiling face of Luis Arraez that we saw on the screen a moment ago, because there are still a lot of good vibes with the Padres, even though they are an imperfect team.
Okay, Padres fans, John Morosi is here. MLB Network is here to go ahead and calm your nerves, because you're talking about every team being flawed and the consternation. And let me tell you this, John. The Padres fans are living and dying with every single pitch, every single game. And they're not just scoreboard watching what the Padres are doing. They're watching the Dodgers very, very closely and their opponents. And they're mad at the Reds because the Reds are a fraud right now. And to me, that series in Los Angeles was their last best chance to really make a run in that wild card. And I think there's separation right now with what the Mets and the Padres are doing. We were talking about Luis Arraez because he got an off day yesterday. Ramon Laureano, we're going to get there next. He was moved to second. They want Arraez dropped in the order or benched or platooning with Gavin Sheets or platooning with whomever when Jackson Merrill returns. And people aren't quite sure what to make of Fernando Tatis's his season, because he started April, as you know, as an MVP player. You're like, wait a second. If he plays like this all season long, look out for the Padres, because he's showing why. He said in his own words back at FanFest that when he is right, he's the best player in baseball. It's been a little bit up and down for Tatis offensively. The defense, as you know, is phenomenal. He is showing platinum glove ability. But what do you make of this Padres up and down offense and what they've done?
Inconsistent, Marty. And you're right. When you're watching them on the right evening,
yeah,
you say to yourself, man, how does this team ever lose? So good. I'll say this. When I looked at, and again, I was just there last week, I think their best lineup has both O'Hearn and Sheets in it. when everybody's healthy. I think you have to find a way. And part of the reason why I like this team, Marty, in a lot of ways right now, is that they are more balanced right and left than they were last year. And Laureano, by the way, is a righty who hits righties very well. He's he's a really good player. You look at what Laureano has meant to this team. Marty, look at the game last night. He moves up to second in the lineup. Look at his production since he's come over. He is a really good player, really good player. And I think that people have overlooked him a little bit about just how good of a ball player Ramon Laureano is. So there's no question in my mind their best lineup has him in it. And then obviously the Padres hope to get Merrill back. And you wonder with him how he'll be able to do with the pain tolerance and the ankle, et cetera.
Yeah.
This is, to me, once Merrill comes back, then it's decision time, because then you have to figure out who's going to sit. But like I said, I go back and look, I love Luis Arraez. I think he's a fantastic contact hitter, everything he's been for this team. And it certainly, you go back, the double play that helped them save that win over the Dodgers last weekend, smooth pickup at first. Obviously, we talk about the Miller scoop at the end of that, but what a great turn by Bogarts and everything that went into that play. But he's still a really good defensive first baseman too. And I think that we have to remember that you're talking about a former middle infielder who's now over there. The range that he has, it's a really good defensive team with a lot of former shortstops, as we've talked about a lot.
Yes.
So Marty, for me, I think that Mike Shildt has the benefit of, and I think he's reaching this point, by the way, with the fact that Arraez didn't play yesterday and that they put Iglesias in the lineup and did some different things, moving up Laureano. Late August, early September, this is not a time for sentimentality. This is not a time for letting guys settle in. This is a time for who are my best 9 right now. And inevitably there's going to be injuries. Inevitably there's going to be guys who are up and down. And there's that fine line between sticking with your guys and then making an adjustment to help them or help the team overall. I do think that Arraez will have to do some different things to make sure he's still in the lineup once Merrill comes back, especially because I'll reiterate, I just think that what makes this team potentially special is the ability to have left-right balance. And the left-right balance comes from guys, in my view, in terms of the power perspective, from guys like Sheets and O'Hearn. And you need that presence in your lineup. So I think they have to both be there for me when you're playing big-time games. And so that will force, I think, Mike Shildt and his staff to make a lot of pretty tough decisions.
Mike Shildt will tell you that this is a very, very good problem to have. It's just remarkable when I'm thinking about how the Padres started this season, right? With Connor Joe and Yuli Gurriel and Jason Hayward and the bunch of players they put there in left field looking for the right guy. And now they have some depth there. So we're going to see. And by the way, to your point on the chip on the shoulder, the Mike Shildt, one thing that's going to be so important, he has a very good relationship with a bunch of these players, right? When I'm there and out there in pregame at Petco Park, I will always see one of the first things that Luis Arraez does, and I can't roll my R's the way that you do. It's a gift. I've tried. It took years of Spanish, and I still can't do that. He and Luis have a very, very close relationship. And one of the first things that Luis will do when he comes to Petco Park, he gives Mike Shildt a nice hug. He talks about the communication that they do have. That is going to be very, very important. On to the players that you just talked about with O'Hearn and Sheets. And of course, Gavin Sheets was signed earlier in the season. Is this the best trade deadline AJ Preller has ever had in his 10 years as Padres GM?
I think it's one of the best trade deadlines that anyone's ever had, Marty, from my perspective, because of the number of different needs they were able to address as a ball club. I was just really impressed by how AJ went about it. And listen, the willingness to move an elite prospect in De Vries is a really it's a big leap of faith that not a lot of GMs are willing to do. And it stood out to me that AJ, in a way, and I fully understand that the payroll has been in different situations, different spots. Obviously, last year it was down. This year it's a little stronger. He has earned, AJ, I believe, the capital and the confidence of ownership, upper management, to make moves like this and to do things that maybe not the other GMs might not be able to do. He has earned the trust. And also, this is a really important thing, and I'm sure you've probably heard this discussed in different ways. Mike Shildt made this point to me that when the Padres make a deal and AJ Preller goes down the line of negotiating with other teams and other counterparts, they know that he is willing to make the trade. Sometimes in this industry, GMs will talk a lot and talk, and it's just like a big information gathering expedition that doesn't actually go anywhere, and it ends up being a waste of time in the end. AJ Preller does not waste anyone's time. If he picks up the phone and calls you, he is ready to do a deal. And as Mike Shildt has said, the Padres like it, unlike other teams that might say, I hope that when I trade a prospect that his value, as soon as he makes the trade, his value goes down, and we're not gonna root for those guys. No, it's quite the opposite. The Padres want their young players, a Jacob Morosi with the Marlins right now. They hope he does well, because when those players perform well, it says to the industry, hey, the Padres do a good job bringing in young players. And when you want to make a trade, deal with the Padres because their guys are good. And they've made a lot of high profile trades going back to the days of Trey Turner and Max Fried and a lot of other.
Oh, yes.
And Padre fans know that list by heart. And guess
James
what?
Wood.
That's okay. That is okay, because you want to put yourself in a situation to compete. And Mackenzie Gore is part of that list too. I mean, the Nationals did a very good job on the Soto trade, but you know what? Juan Soto got the Padres to the playoffs. Juan Soto helped them beat the Dodgers in a playoff series. Michael King, obviously, you see what he's done in a positive form. So there's a way to look at the positive sides of these trades, that even when you're giving up talent, you're getting talent. And that, I think, is a really important idea to keep in mind.
Okay, a couple more things. And thanks again so much for your time, John Morosi. I think that one of the underrated moves, and listen, it was a very quiet offseason for AJ Preller, and which we don't ever usually say, right? But his most important signing was landing Nick Pivetta. How impressive has Nick Pivetta, ace, been for the Padres?
Very impressive. And Marty, Nick Pivetta, he bet on himself. He could have accepted the qualifying offer, and there was a pretty significant amount of time in the winter where there were some naysayers who suggested, hey, why didn't Pivetta accept the qualifying offer? What was he thinking? Is there really a multi-year deal out there for him? Well, it turns out there was. And it was in a great place to pitch and a great place to win in San Diego. And I think Pivetta has always been someone, and you see it, Marty, every fifth day. We're talking about a very demonstrative.
Oh, yes.
He believes in himself in a big way. And I think that, again, I mentioned a little bit earlier about Mike Shildt having a bit of a chip on his shoulder in a good way. Nick Pivetta does too. And I think you're coming from Victoria, British Columbia, Western Canada, it's not always the easiest path, right? To know that you're going to have a position and be able to have a high-profile role in the major leagues. He had to earn his way, traded multiple times. Is sort of in a swingman role in Boston. Sometimes he's a reliever, sometimes he's a starter. He's had to prove it at every single step to earn the contract he's got now in San Diego. And you could tell, Marty, there's two kinds of free agents. Those that once they get the deal, they kind of settle in, and those that when they get the deal, they spend every waking hour proving that they are worth it. And Nick Pivetta falls into the second category. He wants to show the whole world that he was worth the investment, that he belongs in that role, that he's earned what he's received in the game, and all of that is true. So I think, Marty, it's been really impressive to see, and the good part about it is for the Padres is it's not just a one-year deal. He's going to be part of this rotation for a long time, and that's especially important when you consider Cease and King coming towards the end of their contracts, that knowing that you can pencil in Pivetta for 2026 is a really important part of AJ Preller's long-term plans.
Huge deal. If you ever get a chance, when you're back in San Diego next, depending on how it lines up, right, to cover this, if Nick Pivetta is pitching that day, I need you to come in early because you need to do a little piece on a feature on him playing ping pong with his teammates before his starts. He is
on his start day, Marty. That's a rarity.
And he is there to beat some ass. He's taking on Jackson Merrill, Gavin Sheets. You should see how competitive he is playing with everything he does, but especially ping pong. It is quite something to see. It really, really is. Again, when you were here, you interviewed Manny Machado, and he told you about some advice he got from Yu Darvish before he hit his home run. That was really, really cool. How important is this version of Manny Machado, 33 years old now, for the Padres to make a deep playoff run?
Manny Machado's a future Hall of Famer, Marty, and he's showing the all those reasons why with his play right now. It's the dependability. You're seeing him accrue and accumulate a lot of big-time numbers and milestones. And again, one of the things I love about Manny is he plays every day. He's in there no matter what. And I'm so impressed by his professionalism. I think that he is a misunderstood superstar. He knows the game so well. And I think that those that criticized his effort in the past or just didn't quite understand him, I think they're missing out. I think they're missing out on a special person who is one of the brightest baseball people I know and really perceives a lot of the nuances of baseball very, very well. Smart hitter. And as you saw it there, someone who connects well with his teammates. That was, he hits the home run and he points into the dugout at Yu Darvish, who'd been going over some video and giving Manny some tips. And he talked about Yu Darvish's baseball acumen and how much he trusts you with questions and insights. And that to me is one thing that this team does well is, and you've heard it by covering the team, is ball talk. They have informal meetings where they just talk about the game and little things they're all picking up. And that's where those insights are shared. And listen, Manny Machado has never played a game in which he doesn't think he's going to win or doesn't think he's got the advantage. It's that easy confidence that he's always had from a very, very young age. And I think that there's a reason why you look at the other peers that came into the game around the same time as him, Trout, Harper. These are three Hall of Famers, and they were all right around the same age. The way that Manny approaches his craft and the way that he has kept getting better, the plays that he makes over at third base, the way that he calms pitchers down on the mound, everything about the little parts of the game. You know, there have been times in his career, and again, the back and forth with the Dodgers, I get it, and he's been sort of painted to be the villain in LA. That's part of a rivalry. I get it. There's nothing wrong with that. I think also that there's a lot of teams out there, trust me, that would love to have Manny Machado on their roster right now, and maybe even the Dodgers would say that. But it's an interesting. It is a rivalry. It's supposed to be a rivalry, and the way that Manny knows how to talk a little bit in a good way, but then back it up is important. Manny is good for the game. Okay, you need characters. You need people who are at times polarizing. This makes them interesting, and this makes the rivalry a rivalry. Anybody that's been a sports fan in their life, and I was growing up in Michigan in the 80s and 90s, the Pistons and the Bulls, the Red Wings and the Avalanche. Stories and rivalries need your own guys are the good guys and other guys are the bad guys. We were the only people in my city who thought that the bad boys were the good guys. It's complicated, but this is why. We loved in our own way. We loved Bill Laimbeer. We loved Isaiah. Not everybody else did. That's okay. And that was good for the NBA during that era. Manny is good for baseball. And I think that just think, Marty, about what happens if we get a Padres-Dodgers playoff series again. And we're going to have this great race going down the stretch. You felt what the ballpark was like when they were playing each other last weekend. It's unbelievable. Yep. And so I think that we are in a spot where the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry maybe doesn't quite have the same sizzle that it once did. Padres and Dodgers does. And it's a good example that you don't have to have had this rivalry going on for 100 years for it to be the best right now. I'll say this. You give me a ticket. You say, John, golden ticket, any rivalry, any game right now, any place. Padres-Dodgers is clearly the answer. Either ballpark. Give me either stadium, because in both places you'll have a blend of fans on each side. That's the other great part about it is the proximity. Is that you're going to have Padre fans, Dodger fans together going at it in a good way.
Oh, well,
I hope it's a good way. verbal back and forth is fine. No fisticuffs, no fisticuffs here. But having a good time with the rivalry, again, growing up in Michigan, Ohio State, that kind of thing. That's what you want. You want that. It's good for the game, and I hope that we see again in a very good-natured way more of those conversations.
I just hope that if that does happen, I hope the Padres have their pitching situation figured out. The Dodgers have they've won the season series, right? It's been very, very lopsided for this year. Last year, the Padres won it. We see what happened in the NLDS. So if you're the Padres, though, I'm not sure if you'd rather face the Dodgers in a 5-game series or a 7-game series. We will see. All right, my last question, John, you've been so generous with your time. Thank you so much. All right. I was going to ask, what has to happen for the Padres to go ahead and win this West? Only 29 games to go. It's really a 3-game lead because of the tiebreaker. But I'm looking at the final week, and I think this could be where it happens, right? The Padres finish at home with the Brewers, who might have nothing to play for in that series, right? And the best record in the National League, best record in baseball. They finished 3 with the Brewers, 3 with Arizona at home, which I think is huge for the Padres. The Dodgers are on the road at the D-backs and then at the Mariners, who could still be playing for something right there. How impactful is that last week of the schedule?
I love it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, that final day, Marty, is concurrent start times, right? So every game starts at the same time on the final day, which baseball is borrowed from soccer, which is a pretty cool issue to make sure everything is played fairly. I do think that last series, the last week, is going to be determinative. I think that we're going to get to the last week and it's not going to be decided yet, which is what you want. And hopefully that final weekend matters a lot. I do think sometimes, Marty, that we at times overrate strength of schedule. I think it matters much more how teams are playing and how much energy they're bringing to the ballpark, which in a lot of ways you don't really know until you get to that final week. Mm-hmm. I remember I was there covering it in 2011 when the Baltimore Orioles, who had nothing to play for, ruined the Red Sox season and created this collapse. And then Theo Epstein leaves and goes to Chicago, and all these different things happen in the game as a result of that particular series and the way things unfold. Terry Francona leaves, a lot of things happen. So that Orioles team, had nothing to play for beyond pride. And sometimes those teams are very dangerous in the right setting. It helps if it's a young team. I'm sure the Diamondbacks, Torey Lovullo's a first-class person. I'm sure he's going to have his guys ready to play no matter what. And then with the Brewers, even if they're not playing for a playoff berth, let's say by that time, I do think that the Brewers, even if they've got things secured by then, they're going to want to play those games somewhat straight up and at least keep their starters getting stretched out, because they're likely to have 3 to 4 days off the next week. And so you don't want to sort of go half throttle into this end of the season and then take 4 days completely off of competition and then ramp it back up. So I think actually you'll still get a representative Brewers team trying to keep their starters fresh, going deep into games, competing. I actually think that you'll still get a good version of the Brewers. But I do think the Mariners are going to be potentially desperately playing. I mean, that's that intensity that Seattle's going to have will be real. So I think it's going to be a push. I really do, in terms of the quality of the competition, Marty. It all comes down to how well you are performing yourselves. If your pitching is lined up, if your guys are going deep into games, if your bullpen is rested. And the other thing too, and this is the other great thing about the Padre bullpen and why I like their chances to win this division still, even though they have a deficit, is Mike Shildt can chase wins in games that are tied or -1 because of Mason Miller, because of Suarez, because of the amount of depth they've got. Morgan is as good or better than most teams' 8th inning guy right now. And so as a result, you can keep games close that aren't necessarily close, or that you're trailing. You can give your team a chance to come back. And so that, I think, will help the Padres. I always say this time of year, win the winnable games. The Padres can actually win some of the games that aren't so winnable, because their bullpen, if they're down 3-1 after 6, put one of your horses in there. Why? Because you got 3 chances still to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And you like your odds of keeping the score exactly where it is. And not every team can do that. And that's where I think the Padres are a dangerous team in the context of a playoff series and in the context of a pennant race, because they can chase wins in ways that other teams can't.
John Morosi, this has been such an excellent conversation. I'm bummed I didn't see you at Petco Park when you were here with the Giants, you and 45,000 people on a Wednesday night. But I have
It was crowded, Marty. It was crowded. A lot of people there. It's all good.
Just intimate gathering. I have a feeling I will be seeing you soon, rather soon, and a bit often. So I know you want Padres and Dodgers. I'm sure the networks want it too. So maybe I'll see you at that series, or perhaps it'll be a different one. But I look forward to seeing you very soon, John Morosi. You are the absolute best. All you Padres fans, follow his work at John Morosi, and you're on MLB Network. Anything else that you have going on that we need to promote here, because your work is great?
Well, I appreciate it, Marty. Thank you for that. I've been having a lot of fun with the Road to Cooperstown podcast as well, which you can get on Apple Podcasts or Sirius XM Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts. So our most recent guest, Bert Blyleven, who actually grew up in Orange County after being born in the Netherlands and then living in Canada. So he's a man of the world. And he talked about Don Drysdale and what he learned from him. I interviewed Trevor Hoffman already for the series. So a lot of really fun conversations that I hope Padre fans enjoy. So it is the Road to Cooperstown. Very honored to be the host of that show.
All right. Thank you so much. That's John Morosi. I am Marty Caswell. We're brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place, guys. It is Labor Day weekend. It is on. The Padres are in Minnesota. Another trade deadline acquisition, Nestor Cortez. He makes a start Friday in Minnesota. This one should be a lot of fun. The Dodgers are playing, I think, the D-backs. So go ahead, get your multi-screen ready. All right, guys. Thank you so much, John, for your time. I really, really appreciate you.
Thanks, Marty.